And get started. Thank you all for coming to yet another in our Expert User webinar series, and this one is specifically communication planning with OpenAir, a topic that I know does not get very much attention. There's a lot of standard email communications that come out of the OpenAir system, and I thought I would take the opportunity to highlight what you can and can't control in the system and how you can make the communications much more effective versus relying on people that are starting to use inbox rules and routing your emails to other places, so they're ignoring them when they should be paying attention to them as being very important communication. So what we'll be covering today is, what are the goals of communication with a system? Do you take action? Is it informational? Is it confirmation? What are the scenarios? Then, of course, going through all the different types of communication that are handled within the OpenAir system. Many of these you may already know about, but some of them I think people are not taking enough advantage of or are not aware of it because they've come out in recent releases. And then making a suggestion on how you can sort of take a look holistically at your system and approach a plan method for doing a communication outline. So, the communication goals, if you send an email to a person, it should have a purpose. Many of us get those spam emails. They have a purpose of trying to get us to buy certain products. An email from my manager may require me to take some kind of action with the customer. An email from Amazon lets me know that my order is being shipped. So there's usually a consequence to the, why are you getting the email? And you want to read it. It makes you want to read it. So the main purposes, of course, with OpenAir emails is that there's an action that's going to be required. Now, that action may be something that you have to do in OpenAir, or it may be an action that you have to do as part of your business process, triggering information such as contacting a certain person or closing a job or something like that. The other purpose is confirmation. So things like an expense report and knowing that your expense report has been approved, that may give you the confirmation according to your business process that finance has processed it for reimbursement and that there are no issues. You should be getting paid shortly. And of course, one of the last and key ones, and this is the one I think doesn't get enough attention, is knowledge and information delivery. So sending people information about every single action that's happening in the system is not necessarily the best way to keep them informed. So do they need to know that they're assigned or allocated or scheduled to a project? Perhaps. Do they need to know that they're planned to be working on it or they're expected to be working on it versus actually committed to it? Maybe that's going to be too much information and they should really get an exception to know that they really do have to do work. So we're going to go through the different types of communication in the system. And I think sometimes people don't realize how many emails can come out of the OpenAir system. Or actually everyone on the phone here may be going, oh yeah, I know how many emails come out of OpenAir. So, everyone uses, a lot of people use the late timesheet alert. Hey, an invoice is ready for your approval, maybe doing some automated report delivery. Oh, let you know that your timesheet was approved by whoever reviewed it, that your expense report is ready for approval in finance. There's project budget alerts that you've hit a certain threshold. There's an overdue timesheet approval alert that says, okay, the timesheet was submitted, but somebody's holding it up for approval. Invoice rejection, expense report approval, purchase request approval, task assignment notification, resource scheduling notification, schedule request ready for approval, overdue expense approval alerts, new project ownership, issue assignment, oh wait, and probably more than one late timesheet reminder, issue close notification, modification to schedule, project moved to another stage, another issue assignment, invoice ready for approval, another late timesheet reminder, expense report ready for approval, timesheet approved, quarterly reports, task assignment, and not to mention probably yet another late timesheet approver. So the sad thing is I think a lot of you have this situation going on, and what happens is you don't realize how many emails are coming across or going out to people, and therefore some of the emails that are really should be paid attention to and are important are getting ignored because a timesheet ready for approval email comes along with the 7 other timesheet approved FYI emails and the 16 reports that they're getting on a regular basis, and after a while it's just overkill. So let's just start with the basics. There are alerts in the system. There are a basic number of alerts in the system, and this is the most basic type of notification. An alert is just that. It's meant to make someone aware of something that's going on, and it does intend to promote action. So the late timesheet reminder is probably the most common alert used in the OpenAir system. It's meant to make people put their timesheet in. That's the whole purpose behind it. The overdue timesheet approval is probably the second most used alert, and that's to make sure people that are reviewing timesheets are actually approving them so that the timesheet itself can be processed for billing and revenue recognition. Of course, there's also a mirror one for approval expense, overdue approval expense approval, sorry. But there's a couple other ones that people sort of are aware of, but I don't know if they're really using it or how best to use it. And one is called the budget alert, and the other is called resource utilization. So let's just kind of quickly step through this on the do's and don'ts for these alerts, especially the late timesheet alert. So the late timesheet alert, there's a do's section and a don't section. The do's section is make the timesheet alert relative to the time zone of the person who's actually receiving the alert. To say that, hey, your timesheet's overdue, but they're getting it at 4 o'clock in the morning, when in fact it's not due until 10 a.m. in the morning, their local time, it gets less important. It doesn't get paid attention to as much because people will probably always get it, and after a while they become numb to it. Make sure that it has a meaningful message. Is there a consequence? If you don't do the timesheet, will someone be following up with you shortly?